4 NBA players ranked top 12 in the league in both points and assists per game in the month of January. Trae Young, Nikola Jokic, Ja Morant, and Anfernee Simons. That's right. Anfernee Simons is averaging 26 points and 7.5 assists per game this month on better than 65% true shooting. And by the way, during a season in which everything has gone wrong for the Blazers, from injuries to a complete lack of depth in defense, they are 6-3 when Ant plays this month. That's of course without Damian Lillard, while both CJ McCollum and Norman Powell have only played in 3 of those games each. And they lost the only game Simons didn't play in by a cool 32 points. So yeah, the former 24th overall pick, who hadn't scored even 9 points per game before this year and couldn't come to a contract extension agreement with the Blazers just a few months ago, has suddenly risen and brought hope and light to a franchise that desperately needs that right now. So that's pretty fun. I've been a huge Simons advocate forever. He was maybe my favorite pick of the 2018 draft, and if you've listened to our podcast for a while, you've heard me rave about the flashes we've seen every year since he entered the league. But he has certainly never, ever done anything like this. So how is this happening? How did Ant take this leap to uber efficient star production as a scorer and playmaker, while also leading this team to play winning basketball for the first time all year? And what does this mean for the future of a guy who's still just 22 on a franchise inevitably headed towards a rebuild? Great questions. So let's break them all down. When we're talking about Ant, even though he's blossomed as a playmaker recently, we need to start with his scoring. Simons is unequivocally among the most skilled young scorers in the entire NBA, a special pure shooter with several pick and roll tendencies that are reminiscent of many of the league's best guards. This season, Simons is ranked as a 92nd percentile pick and roll scorer and has been the single most efficient pick and roll player in all of basketball who averages at least 4 such possessions per game. So obviously, that's insane. Ant's built to thrive as a pick and roll scorer in a number of ways. He doesn't have a super high-end first step by NBA standards, but he's smooth as can be, extremely comfortable playing at his own pace, and decisive with the ball in his hands. Ant just looks at home, waiting on a screen, weaving around, and then going to work, either confidently pulling up with the sliver of a window he has, or working his way downhill. Pull-up jump shooting is an elite weapon for Ant when he's on, and he's been on another planet there this month, making 46% of his pull-up threes. He stays tight coming around screens and attacks quickly, showing no hesitation at all to pull when he has a good look. The value of that shooting is also immense because of what it does to stretch out the entire defense. We've seen Ant get some high screens set for him this year, and he's started to get some real star treatment in those spots, with defenses trapping and blitzing him on occasion, or at least hedging hard. Anything to take away that shot and get the ball out of his hands. That's quite the compliment, and it tells you a lot about how lethal that three-point pull-up really is. Simons can also take another step inside and kill defenses, having hit 57% of his mid-range jumpers this month and nearly 48% on the season overall. So that's consistent, efficient perimeter offense that will be there quite often coming around a screen. But I think Simons is an equally impressive pick and roll weapon in his floater game. This month, Ant has made 18 of 25 floaters. That's 72%, and he's shooting almost 59% on those shots overall this season. Needless to say, that is a ridiculous tool to have in your bag. Few shots are available more often out of the pick and roll than a floater, and Simons is capable of hitting them with mind-blowing efficiency even when contested. And really, I think that's a nice representation of Ant's game as a scorer. He has moments with dazzling crosses or big-time step-back threes, but more often, he does an excellent job of just not overcomplicating the game, taking what the defense gives him and executing at a very high level with his bread-and-butter shots. For a 22-year-old score-first guard who wasn't even asked to carry the load of a college offense because he didn't play college basketball, Simons has a really impressive ability to not waste possessions. He's an efficient scorer, and he doesn't turn the ball over much at all, having averaged just 2.3 giveaways per game this month, an excellent mark given his offensive volume, and just 1.5 turnovers per game overall this season. Simons can also play effectively outside of the pick and roll. He's a solid isolation scorer thanks to his handle and jump shot creation, although he's somewhat limited there by the fact that he doesn't often get all the way downhill. But I really like him off ball because of his blazing catch and shoot ability, as he's made 47% of those attempts from deep this year. Simons is always prepared as a catch and shooter and does a good job of relocating, and he doesn't waste good looks and turn to some silly one-on-one possession. If he's open enough, he'll just take that shot quickly, which helps him fit into the flow of an offense really easily. And you also see Simons' ability to fit into good offense with his passing. Ant's pretty darn unselfish moving the ball around the perimeter. He's not at all one to dribble the life out of the ball, and he has a good awareness of when shooters are open or are about to come open, even if he isn't actively collapsing the defense. Out of the pick and roll, Simons has good feel in the right idea too, and he has excellent chemistry with Jusuf Nurkic. Ant isn't just unselfish, he's poised and smart. When he does get multiple defenders thrown his way, it doesn't really seem to rattle or speed him up, and he doesn't force the issue. He just gets that ball to the roll man and lets him take advantage of the numbers that their team now has. Ant makes some passes that'll wow you too. He's an impressively ambidextrous passer who loves to throw them one-handed and can do so accurately and with velocity. He can make tight window bounce passes out of the pick and roll and in transition, and he can be deceptive with his eyes before kicking out to shooters. Now, Simons may not be a genius passer, and I've never seen him as a true point guard, but who cares? He sees the floor the right way, and he's able to understand his gravity as a scorer and amplify his teammates because of it. And again, he really is leading this team while playing winning basketball. Overall this year, the Blazers are 10 points per 100 possessions better with Simons on the floor. An elite number. They're 19-20 when he plays and 0-6 when he doesn't, and this month specifically, they've outscored opponents by 56 points in the minutes Simons plays and been outscored by 74 points when he's on the bench. That right there is some major winning value. So that's pretty amazing, and it's a super fun storyline this year, but also it only means so much. Given their abysmal defense and horde bench, the Blazers aren't going anywhere meaningful this season, no matter what Simons does. So I think it's important that we look at what this means long term. So I'll ask, is Simons a lead superstar guard down the line? A guy who can play a Dame Lillard or Trae Young-esque role for an offense? Well, I don't think he's quite on that level. The only major limitation in Simons' game offensively is that he's not super effective getting all the way to the bucket. Simons attempts just 11% of his total field goals inside of 3 feet, an absurdly low number, like really one of the lowest in the league, as he again just doesn't often blow by defenders or have exceptionally shifty change in pace. When he does get to the rim, Simons is also extremely contact averse, which is the biggest reason that despite his impressive length and touch, he makes fewer than 56% of his attempts inside of 3 feet, which is quite poor. He also attempts just 1.7 free throws per game, the 4th fewest of any 15-point per game scorer this season. As I've said on this channel several times before, it's very difficult to carry a team offensively for an entire season if you aren't manufacturing those high probability opportunities. Guys like Dame and Trae eat up free throws and also put a ton of pressure on defenses by attacking the rim to then create easy looks for their teammates. Simons is also scoring more than 25 points per game while averaging less than 4 free throw attempts per night this month, which we've only ever seen one player actually do over an entire season in Calvin Murphy. So yeah, for that reason, I don't think he's quite on that superstar level as a talent, and I don't think this level of success is sustainable. But that's also a pretty insane thing to even consider. When Simons entered this season, he had averaged just 8 points per game in consecutive years, and now, since he was thrown into the starting lineup, he has played like a genuine star as his team is winning. And for what it's worth, I absolutely do think Simons can be an efficient 20 to 22 point per game scorer in this league, who can play a combo guard role very effectively. And everybody is taking that guy on their team, even though he is quite poor defensively at this stage and needs to improve a good bit there. And at the end of the day, no matter what, it's time for the Blazers to pivot. The Lillard-McCollum era is over. So when Ant becomes a free agent this offseason, Portland better pay that man, because Lord knows not much else is going right for them right now, and if they don't, someone else will. But hey, that's a matter for another time. For now, let's all just sit back and enjoy as a young man gets his chance to shine and absolutely crushes it. Because who doesn't love that? To those of you who have made it this far, as always, Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, the good news is we have plenty more content like this. You can stick around on our YouTube channel and see that we do video essays, video breakdowns like this a lot. I did one just this past week on why Nikola Jokic is the MVP. Check that out. You can also see that my friend Logan and I do 3 podcasts a week on the NBA and NFL. You can listen to that on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your audio content, and I will link that in the description. And you can also watch us live on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can follow us on social media. Twitter is at nerd_sesh, as is our Twitch, and Instagram and TikTok are both at Nerd Sesh to just keep plugged in with everything that we are doing. And with that, as always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed.